It's my job now to welcome the delegations of politicians from France, Germany, Austria, Portugal, the Netherlands, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Iceland, Finland, and Ireland. They've all been leaders in the camp. Welcome. They've all been leaders in the campaigns in their own countries against Maastricht and the European superstate. We welcome them because they have made a stand against the European superstate through the mobilization of the peoples of Europe. As we've seen during the last few days, this mobilization is growing fast. In a by-election in France, nearly 80% of the votes were cast in favor of candidates who were opposed to Maastricht. And throughout the nations of Europe, opinion polls show similar results. Obviously, I can't welcome every member of every delegation personally, so I will mention only a few. From France, we have Marie-France Garot, who was a principal advisor to President Pompidou, and then, when he was Prime Minister in 1974, to Jacques Chirac. She is the chairman of the International Institute of Geopolitics and is a powerful campaigner against Maastricht. Also from France is Philippe de Villiers, the founder and leader of the French political party Mouvement pour la France, and Charles de Gaulle, who is a member of the European Parliament. They both will be speaking to us in a few moments. We also welcome Didier Monchin, who is the Foreign Affairs spokesman of the Mouvement des Citoyens. This political party, founded by the former Socialist Minister Jean-Pierre Chevènement, represents the left-wing movement in France against Maastricht. From Germany, we have Manfred Brunner, leader of the party, the Union of Free Citizens. He was responsible for the immensely important case brought in 1993 against the German government before the German Constitutional Court. He too will be addressing us this afternoon. Also from Germany, Christopher Weick is with us today. He is a leader of the German movement called More Democracy, which campaigns for the use of referenda in German political life. From Austria, we welcome Frieda Meissner-Blau. She is the leader of the Austrian ecological movement, and she stood in the Austrian presidential election of 1986 against Kurt Waldheim. She is a leader of the anti-Maastricht movement in Austria. From Portugal, we welcome Paulo Portas. He is the former editor of the economic weekly O Independente, and he is now a member of Parliament. He is representing the political party Partido Popular, which is the principal party which opposes Maastricht. From the Netherlands, we welcome Hans Blokland, member of the European Parliament representing his party, Geer Reform Erd, political Verbond. He is a member of the Europe of Nations group within the European Parliament. From Denmark, we have Jens Peter Bonde, a respected author and leader of the June movement, which obtained the no vote during the first Danish referendum. He is co-chairman of the Europe of Nations group. He will be speaking to us today. From Sweden, we have Ingela Martinsson, Vice Chairman of the No to EU organization in Sweden. From Norway, Christian Niergaard, Chairman of the Team movement, which coordinates all the anti-Maastricht movements throughout Europe. He led the No to EU campaign in Norway and succeeded in obtaining a negative vote in the referendum of 1994. From Finland, we have Thomas Walgreen. He is a member of the Alternative EU movement and a candidate for the Greens in the Finnish European elections. These elections will be held tomorrow, and we wish him well. Good luck. From Ireland, we welcome Anthony Cooland, lecturer at Trinity College Dublin. He is a leader of the national platform of the non-party Umbrella Group, which campaigned against the Maastricht Treaty in Ireland in 1992. And finally, from Iceland, we welcome Mr. Guth Thompson, a member of the Icelandic Parliament and representing the People's Alliance. To all our friends from continental Europe, welcome. I now call to speak Lucille Butler, who is our prospective parliamentary candidate for the constituency of Lewes in East Sussex.
Mahatma Gandhi said that you can be in a minority of one and still be right. Until Sir James founded the Referendum Party, I often felt I was in a minority of one when expressing my fears about the constitutional implications of the Maastricht Treaty. Now, we of like mind are beginning to find our voice. To do so, we must be clear about what the message is. And in my view, it is simple. The Maastricht Treaty is denying me the choice of how and by whom I wish to be governed. And this right to choose is a fundamental freedom, a freedom which generations of British people have invested too much to acquire and to defend, to trade it lightly. That freedom is called a vote, and while we may sometimes take it for granted, I'm sure that each of us spends theirs wisely. Yet all the main political parties in this country are denying us the right to use our vote to determine the way we are governed. If I dare to challenge the political leaders of any party as to the validity of this change, I am accused of being a Little Englander, a xenophobe, or a Eurosceptic, and any other term of abuse that people use when the poverty of their argument is exposed. So let's precipitate an informed, factual, and mature debate about Britain's future in Europe, and use our freedom to persuade others that the only valid long-term policy for Britain in Europe is to let the people decide. And it's my pleasure now to introduce Manfred Bruna, who was born in Munich, Germany in 1947. Qualifying as a lawyer in 1982, he went on to become, in 1989, the principal aide to Martin Bangerman, the European Union's Internal Market Commissioner. In 1992, he left the European Commission in protest against the Maastricht Treaty. He also became chairman of the Democracy and Market Economy Foundation, which campaigns vigorously in Germany against the Maastricht Treaty. He was responsible for the immensely important case brought against the German government before the German Constitutional Court. As he will explain, the results are deeply significant for us all. In October 1993, Manfred Brunner left the FDP to found his own party, the Union of Free Citizens. Ladies and gentlemen, Manfred Brunner.
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, it is with great pleasure that I have traveled from Munich to Brighton to speak to you today. It is an enormous encouragement to witness that cooperation is developing amongst the peoples of the various nations of Europe who reject the Treaty of Maastricht. It is at the national level and with the support of the people themselves that we will be able to overturn this tragic mistake imposed on us by our governments, whether of center-left or center-right. Thank you very much for the invitation, Sir James, and let me offer my congratulations to all those present at this conference. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to cooperate. It is the peoples of all nations of Europe who must defend their own countries against the centralized bureaucracy of Brussels. That is what will allow the countries of Europe to pursue true friendship and harmony. As you have just heard, I was the person responsible for submitting before the Federal Constitutional Court in Germany the question of the constitutionality of the Maastricht Treaty. The court determined that there should not be a single European state because a single state needs a single people. The Federal Constitutional Court ruled that the German government could only join the monetary union if the economic criteria of the treaty are fully respected. The court denied the right to soften the criteria. So, on the one hand, the court has forbidden any weakening of the economic criteria, and on the other hand, the Maastricht Treaty allows for just such a weakening on political grounds. I can tell you now that I will not hesitate to return the Federal Constitutional Court if it proves necessary. And it will indeed be necessary if the economic criteria of the treaty are achieved by manipulation and creative accounting. The whole of Europe will be directly involved in the outcome of this conflict. We all know that the convergence criteria cannot be fulfilled honestly by most of the countries in the European Union. At the moment, the only country that fully satisfies the criteria is Luxembourg. For example, the Maastricht convergence criteria laid down that government debt should not exceed 60% of gross domestic product. Nobody mentions this anymore. Countries like Belgium and Italy, with government debt about twice to required level, are demanding the right to join now. Instead of the whole project being abandoned, the nations of Europe are being seriously abused and social peace is deeply endangered. Why? For what purpose? Even if these acts of economic and social violence were to be successful, it would only result in a short-term victory. In the longer run, the fundamental flaws of EMU will emerge. They will only be cushioned by higher debt and higher rates of inflation. Like you, our party in Germany has proposed a referendum so that our people can decide. But our constitution in Germany does not allow us to enforce a referendum. Nonetheless, we will apply political pressure on the government to obtain a referendum, and hundreds of thousands of citizens will back such a demand. We are against any form of monetary union. We are convinced that competition between national central banks produces more stable currencies than will a centralized European bank with a single currency run by a bureaucracy. Our ideas are finding favor in Germany because the small and medium-sized companies are falling victim to the present ideology. My experience when working in Brussels taught me that the centralization of all economic and political activity is favorable only for a few global players. In addition to my party, there is a nationwide foundation in Germany called Democracy and Market Economy. Its purpose is to oppose the Treaty of Maastricht and to do so in the interest of the international friendship. I am the chairman of the foundation and my co-chairman is Count Bismarck. For a long time, he has had a close relationship with the referendum party, and he has asked me to convey to you his most sincere regards. His great-grandfather had a slightly better relationship to England than the present German Chancellor. Ladies and gentlemen, a government opinion poll has revealed that 2/3 of the German population objects the new artificial currency, the euro. A success for the referendum party in Great Britain will be of great help to us in Germany in demanding a referendum. Europe is diverse. European policy must be based on the respect of this diversity, not on its elimination. The Treaty of Maastricht will harm friendship between the peoples of Europe. Great Britain fears German dominance. Germany is suspicious of France's intentions. The South fears the North, and the East is afraid to being forgotten. This is what Maastricht has achieved. Ladies and gentlemen, let the people of Europe decide. The referendum party is setting an example and is providing enormous encouragement for our movement in Germany and for our friends all over Europe. We shall fight together against socialism, against centralism, against bureaucracy, against the European superstate. We stand together for freedom, for a Europe of sovereign nations. We will slay the dragon. We will prevail. This is the signal of Brighton.